Hey everybody, it's Tristan Shovels here, back with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel deck profile, and even if you're just here for the deck list, remember to like, comment, and subscribe because it really makes a difference for the channel. So today I reached Master 1 playing a pretty straightforward Melodious deck that uses some of the cards from the latest set that expanded the archetype and made it playable by giving it a Pendulum Monster Refrain, the Melodious Songstress, that can search for any other Melodious directly from your deck, and its counterpart, Couplet the Melodious Songstress, which when it's searched for or added to the hand, you can reveal this card, special summon one level 4 or lower Melodious monster from your hand or graveyard, which gives you an extra special summon from graveyard, giving this deck some recursion that it didn't have before. There are a lot of Melodious deck lists out here on YouTube, but aside from Pendulum Magician based strategies, I haven't really seen a discussion of why this deck is so well suited to the current meta, and how good it feels to play through 2 or 3 of your opponent's hand trap cards and still make a solid end board with interruptions on field in the form of the new Flowering Etoile, the Melodious Magnificat, and the classic Schuberta, the Melodious Maestro, which can banish cards from your opponent's graveyard or your graveyard at quick effect speed, which can help you out a lot in the battle phase against decks like Tenpai. So let's start off with some of the key cards for the deck. Ostinato is one of the strongest fusion spells ever because it does not lock you into fusion monsters and allows you to fusion summon from deck. That's pretty strong. You can also bring out the materials if your Melodious monster lasts till the end of the turn, but most of the time you're going to be special summoning Baccia, the Melodious Maestra, which allows you to special summon another Melodious monster directly from your deck, and if it's sent to the graveyard, you can target one Melodious monster in your graveyard, except for Baccia, the Melodious Maestra, special summon it in defense position, which should give you enough materials to link summon Bloom Harmonist, the Melodious Composer, which allows you to special summon 2 more Melodious monsters from your deck. You'll want to be special summoning from your deck the Soprano, the Melodious Songstress, to fusion summon on field with this monster itself as the catalyst, or Aria, the Melodious Diva, where while the special summon card is on the field, Melodious monsters you control cannot be targeted by card effects or destroyed by battle. Again, not being able to be destroyed by battle, very strong against Tenpai right now, but that targeting protection applies to pretty much every deck that is trying to stop your plays with Effect Veiler or Infinite Impermanence. This card turns all of those off. You'll also want to bring out Shapina, the Melodious Maestra. This is a level 7 monster, so you're ideally going to be pendulum summoning this if it's stuck in your hand, or special summoning it directly from deck, because once per turn, you can target one Light Fairy monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, which allows you to loop the Soprano effect up to 3 times per turn, since we're on 2 copies here. Another great starter for the deck is the First Movement Solo. If you control no monsters, special summon 1 level 4 or lower Melodious monster from your hand or deck. You can only activate 1 First Movement Solo per turn. You cannot special summon monsters during the turn you activate this card, except Melodious monsters. So that's on activation. So even if your opponent negates it with Ash Blossom, and you have something like Ciphering Your Gamma in hand, and you're hoping to negate that Ash Blossom, that's only going to work when you activate Ostinato with a clear field, because you're locked out of summoning other monsters as soon as you activate this card. But once it's negated on a new chain, you can continue to play non-Melodious monsters, which is another reason that this deck is weak to Max C, so we have to play a lot of Max C outs in our hand trap lineup. First off, Droll Lockbird. Droll Lockbird feels really good to play right now. It stops a lot of Tenpai plays, it stops Math Mech, it stops even Fire King Snake Eye if you're still seeing that around on ladder. And your opponent will misplay once you activate Droll Lockbird. However, you can use Droll Lockbird in this deck as a Max C counter, because you're only really going to need the 1 search from Refrain the Melodious Songstress and the Pendulum effect of Couplet that adds Melodious Concerto. So after doing that, you can activate Droll Lockbird on your own turn and effectively lock your opponent out of drawing more cards from Max C, because you're special summoning from the deck. You're not searching from the deck in the way that most Master Duel decks are right now. Let's delve into the extra deck cards. Bloom Diva, the Melodious Choir, cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Also, you take no battle damage from attacks involving this card. If this card battles a special summon monster, it has this Nightmare Pain-like effect, where you're inflicting damage to your opponent equal to the difference between the original attack of that opponent's monster and this card, and if you do, destroy that opponent's monster. That doesn't come up too often, but this card is a good blocker, effectively, if the rest of your board is outed, because Tenpai doesn't really have outs to this card. It only has the Moonlight Rose Dragon and the Samurai Destroyer, and sometimes your Tenpai opponent will be banishing those off Pot of Prosperity, or they won't really know how to use them effectively to counter Bloom Diva at the right time. Sometimes you're even special summoning this in the battle phase when they're already Fire Dragon locked, because you have the second effect of Flowering Etoile, the Melodious Magnificat. Quick effect, you can banish any number of Melodious monsters you control, then you can return up to that many face-up cards your opponent controls to the hand. That's great. This allows you to dodge Nibiru the Primal Being, which I'm not seeing so much of on ladder right now, but it's still really strong to have a form of interruption like this that protects your own cards as well. And if this face-up fusion summon card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can special summon one Melodious monster from your deck or extra deck, except itself, which allows you to bring out Bloom Diva without fusion summoning. So that's pretty strong. The rest of the extra deck is pretty standard. We're playing Baguska because we're on level 4s, Typhon in case we get stuck. Gravity Controller can help you out if you've used Ostinato to summon Botcha. It's best to put that in the extra monster zone so that you can send it to the graveyard to get its second effect, even if you don't have other Melodious monsters to link summon with it. IP Masquerena, classic card. It's a little win more in this deck, not too many opportunities to summon it, but it's worth playing. And then 2 copies of Bloom Harvest, the Melodious Composer. You never know if your opponent's going to have Kashtira Unicorn to banish one of them, so having 2 is a good backup plan. And Protector of the Agents Moon. This has a Sanctuary in the Sky effect that we don't really care about, but you contribute 1 fairy monster, then target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it. This includes itself, so it gives you some flexibility. It's an out to skill drain and other floodgates that you might encounter, as is SP Little Knight. With that being said, I think the best way to explore the strength of the Melodious cards and this unique set of hand traps is to show off some gameplay. So let's get into those games! First up, we have a game versus Ritual Beast. This game is meant to show off what the deck can do, going entirely uninterrupted, even with a less than ideal hand. We are going first, and we can start off with Ostinato to bring out Botcha, the Melodious Maestra, use its effect, special summon Refrain, add Couplet to hand, use Couplet's effect to bring back Soprano, the Melodious Songstress, add back Aria, the Melodious Diva, to pendulum summon that later, after using Concerto to special summon Schuberta. We activate the additional effects of Refrain and Couplet to return them to the pendulum zone, pendulum summoning Shapina and Aria, adding back Cannon, the Melodious Diva. We then bring out the Magnificat, the boss monster of the deck, and use Concerto's extra draw effect from the graveyard, and bring back the Songstress with Botcha, set 2, and pass. We've got everything in defense position except for Schuberta to play around Lightning Storm somewhat. The opponent adds Ritual Beast Tamer Elder and Spiritual Beast Tamer Cannahawk. Okay, they use the Elder effect. That's not worth negating because you can't negate that. And Cannahawk is negated by our Imperm instead. I decided to be preemptive and bounce everything they had to hand. They used Triple Tactics Talents to draw 2, but they didn't draw anything that can get them out of that position after using their normal summon. So we can see how well Melodious does going first, uninterrupted, but let's see how we did going second. The opponent starts off their turn with the Cynet Mining here to add the infamous Mathmech Circular. They use Circular's effect, but before they can do that, we control them so that they can't add any more cards off of Mathmech Circular or Laplacian from the extra deck. So they have to go into Splash Mage, so they have the Diameter already. They use that to bring back Circular, link that off for the Link Decoder, link those off for Transcode Talker, and then they use Link Decoder's effect to special summon itself back They go into G Golem Crystal Heart. Okay, I would have saved that if I were them, but I guess they wanted to bring back the Transcotaka right away so they could bring back Splash Mage, use the Splash Mage effect they haven't used yet to bring back that Diameter. They get out Vico Talker. They're not allowed to draw because of Droll. They probably forgot. They use Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid, Neo Tempest Terahertz, sending the Deceive Worm, which is going to negate a spell. Okay, so they have a draw in hand. One of those is probably a hand trap card, knowing Mathmech. So I use Pot of Prosperity to bait out either the Deceive Worm or an Ash Blossom. I'm able to bait out Deceive Worm, and now they have to use Ash Blossom on Ostinato, but we can negate that with the Call by the Grave. So they send the extra deck Xyz monster that negates the effect of our Botch on field here, but that's okay because we're able to normal summon Sonata, link those off into Bloom Harmonist, discard one, and we get the Botch effect from Graveyard to bring back Refrain that we sent as fusion material. So now we have Shapina and Aria, which gives us targeting protection, and we bring back Soprano and add Sonata back to hand. Soprano's fusion effect here brings out Schuberta, and we use Shapina to add back Soprano to hopefully use that again. Let's go into Couplet. We use Couplet to add Melodious Concerto. We fuse off the two Pendulum monsters to get another Botch on field to get its protection effect as well. Here we reset our scales with their effects, then we use Soprano on field again to fusion summon the Melodious Magnificat from the extra deck. And we bounce their monsters back to hand. Remember, I couldn't use that during the battle phase because of Neo Tempest Terahertz. Okay, so now they have 700 life points. Using the effect of Botcha there maybe would have been better, but it would have only done 600 additional damage, and we needed to do over 700. They add Mathmech Circular off of Small World, they use Infinite Impermanence, and I thought might as well remove Sonata, because they only have one card left, they send Multiplication, and they don't really have any plays, ending the duel from there. So it's time for game 3, and that means it's time to duel the number 1 meta threat, Tenpai Dragon. The opponent has Let Us Go first, which means they're basically on Tenpai. We use Refrain to add Couplet, use Couplet's secondary effect to special summon Cannon from the hand, add Concerto with its Pendulum effect, fuse from the Pendulum Zone and the main monster zone there to bring out Botcha, the Melodious Maestra. We can return these two monsters to the Pendulum Zones, as you've seen before, and summon Bloom Harmonist, discarding the Call by the Grave because they hadn't used any hand traps yet, so I thought basically that it was the best discard we had. Let's use Shapina to add back Soprano, the Melodious Songstress, and we fuse everything off for Magnificat. Then we use Botch's Graveyard effect along with the additional draw off of Sonata to bring back the Maestra, because we can use Shapina, the Maestra effect once again to add the second Soprano. Pendulum summon that out and fusion summon into the Schuberta. So now we have Schuberta, Bloom Diva, the Melodious Maestra, and the Magnificat, which I was able to put in defense position. So the one thing we don't have is Aria, which I wasn't able to access because I wanted to bring out Soprano from deck with Bloom Harmonist effect. Okay, the opponent has Red Reboot or other cards there that mess up our back row, like Harpy's Feather Duster, so that's a problem. They use Ultimate Slayer, which I'd never really seen before. That gets rid of Magnificat. Okay, this could be a problem. They use Genroku here, but it's only on field, and I decided this was the best time to Ash Blossom, because if they had the field spell, they would have used it. They take control of a monster with Triple Tactics Talent, and they use Sanguine Summoning to hand. They really should have set that on field so they could have destroyed it with Trident Dragon, but I'm not complaining. They Synchro Summon Biden Dragon, so they bring back the Fadra here and bring back the Chundra here, Synchro Summoning into Sanguine Pai, Transcendent Dragon, and they're only doing half damage because they're under Prosperity. Okay, they've realized that they can only clear this with Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. Unfortunately, they have it, but they're only doing half damage, and it's not enough to reduce my life points to 0. They banish some of our monsters that could have been a problem for them, but they don't attack with the Melodious Maestra, and they end on the classic Tenpai move of Seal's Pass, and they destroy my Schuberta because they can't Synchro Summon with it. Okay, otherwise it would have returned back to me, but luckily for me, I drew Ostinato. Sometimes you're just that nice with it. Anyway, we bring out Botcha, the Melodious Maestra. They respond with Moonlight Dragon. But that doesn't matter because we fusion summon, so we can set up our Pendulum Scales again and special summon Refrain from deck. Couplet allows us to get back Aria from the graveyard finally, so we have that battle protection. And we can add back the one of Melodious Concerto again. Let's use Protector of the Agents to destroy their Hieratic Seal. And they bounce back one of the Pendulum Scale, not really a problem, but now we've dealt with the seals, so we can fusion summon into Botcha the Melodious Maestro once again. Link that off for SP Little Knight. We are going to banish the Chundra because we can't deal with it in the battle phase, and we draw Called by the Grave. Now we have Shapina back from the graveyard, so we can Exceed Summon Typhon since it's the strongest monster we have. We bounce back their Transcendent Dragon and destroy their Moonlight Dragon by battle. Okay, now with that said, Called by the Grave, SP, Typhon, and a Melodious Monster for follow-up on next turn. They pretty much scoop it up after that. Nice draw, but also some high-level gameplay there as well. Alright, after seeing those games, I think it's pretty clear that Melodious has become a real contender in the current Master Duel metagame, and that it has a lot of room to play these additional hand traps that make a difference in Master Rank. That'll do it for this video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you all in the next one.